be coming up with ideas that you think are going to work. You know, in your mind, you're like, this is the best idea ever. Like, this is going to solve all of these problems. You know, this is it. You know, we figured it out. You know, let's hit the ground running. And what we find every single time that when we do that without necessarily looking into these different groups or people who've maybe tried to do the same thing is that we're only solving the problem from our point of view. So we're not necessarily solving the problem for them.
A Boise bicycle shop is about to make Christmas dreams come true for over 300 local boys and girls. Kids had the chance to draw on paper what their dream bicycle would look like. And volunteers, along with the employees at the Boise bicycle shop, have been working nonstop to make those wishes come true. After hours of repairs and refurbishing, hundreds of kids will be presented their dream bike just in time for Christmas.
I guess when we started the Boise Bicycle Project, we really didn't know how to run a nonprofit. You know, I had worked in bicycle shops before in the past, but there was a lot that we didn't know that was going on. So from the very beginning, like, we really had to reach out to a lot of different groups and seek their advice, figure out how we could work together, and really make sure that what we were doing was going to be helpful to the groups that we were trying to serve. We have a variety of different partnerships we've formed with all sorts of different organizations, whether they've been nonprofit like us, for-profit, government. It's become pretty fun and pretty interesting to figure out how you can kind of collaborate with these different groups.
Last year during Idaho Gives, we pedaled over 100 miles donating 24 bikes to 24 kids in 24 hours. Your donations powered the journey and transformed the lives of 24 kids. This year we're inviting you to be part of our vision. And what's that vision, Jan?
That Boise has the potential to be the bicycle capital of America.
And for those who don't speak French, that's Boise has the potential to be the bicycle capital of America. That's our vision. For 24 hours, every hour, on the hour, we'll create a community transforming event that takes Boise one step closer to the top. Events include, but are not limited to, installing new bike lanes, putting community repair stands in parks, leading thousands in a pedal-powered parade. This is serious, folks. We can change the future of Boise in 24 hours.
So we've got these great partnerships with these for-profit organizations, but then a lot of times we've got these great partnerships with other nonprofits like the Boys and Girls Club. So we typically are donating around 500 to 600 bicycles a year. And we could be reaching out to kind of individual families and searching and trying to find the kids who really need bicycles. But it's much, much easier for us to find an organization who has already kind of located and identified the kids who need the most help. And they can kind of be that relay point to say, hey, Boise Bicycle Project, we've got a group of kids that needs bicycles. And rather than us reaching out to 10 different families, you know, we've got 10 kids all at one organization, and that organization can help transport them down here, or we can go there and teach a safety class or teach bicycle repair. It's kind of weird because we're, you know, doing things like teaching people how to repair bicycles and getting your hands greasy. And, you know, a lot of times the bicycles that we're working on is a little bit older, so it's kind of this older technology and kind of an older way of doing things, but we're really trying to explore new and innovative ways to do that, and new and innovative ways to reach out to people and educate them, or to teach them about repair, or to teach them about the benefits of bicycling.
Once these kids have their dream bikes, they'll be embarking on their own journey with the goal of riding 100 miles by the end of May's Kids Bike-a-thon.
We'll provide their rides, but we need you to power their journey.
By pedaling 100 miles in a month, these kids will be raising awareness and raising funds for their brothers, sisters, friends, classmates for BBP's new Earn a Bike program.
So a lot of times when we're working on a new program or a new idea, we're focusing a lot on the target population we're wanting to serve or wanting to affect. And then we're trying to figure out who is the right group that can help us work with this population the most. So if it's if it's teenagers, you know, who are about to enter the workforce, you know, maybe a organization like Life's Kitchen that's training kids with culinary skills is the best one to partner with, because they're already teaching them skills. Now we're providing transportation.
Once you finish this program and you get a job somewhere, how are you going to get to your job?
I'd like to be able to bike.
When you're ready, you need to come down to the bike project and we'll find a bike for you, get you all set up.
Great.
Or maybe if we want to even work with a program that's going to help provide bicycles for inmates, how do we figure out who the best group, to do that is? And recently we've been working on this program to provide bicycles for inmates that are getting out of prison in exchange for them fixing kids' bikes that we'll donate to the community. And in order to do that, we had been reaching out to other organizations who had already worked with folks from the prison that had nothing to do with bicycles.
There's a big difference when people are really, really excited about what they're doing. And if you look around, you can tell that there's excitement. You can see that people are excited to be working hands-on. They're excited to be, building bikes, learning new skills, giving back to kids in the community.
The collaboration teaches female inmates at the South Boise Women's Correctional Center important skills.
All right, now try spinning it.
Using their space and workforce to fix up kids' bikes in need of repairs. In return for the hard labor, after an inmate fixes up 15 bikes, they'll receive a voucher, good for a bike of their own at BBP once they're released.
The obvious choices aren't always, the best ones, but I think when you can think about, who your target demographic is, who's worked with this target demographic successfully in the past, and getting advice from them to see who they think you should bring to the table, because they probably have dealt through the same thing that you have. They've had to jump through the same hoops and all these different types of things, and they can probably save you a lot along the way. Collaborations are great when they work. When they don't work, it's hard because you form these partnerships and they're probably people that you may be working with again in the future, and so you want to make sure that you're not hurting these relationships. Recently, I've had the opportunity to meet with the governor to talk about some kids' safety stuff. And I left this safety meeting, with the governor, and it was this tremendous opportunity to try to make some statewide changes, and met with a few other organizations. And then we kind of started working on, all right, let's see what we can do to kind of, present the governor a program and kind of a template that we think that he could actually do to create some change. And at a certain point, you have to kind of realize when things aren't moving as fast as you want to, or other groups aren't, that maybe this isn't the priority for them. And if you can give people an easy option out, they don't want to let you down, but maybe that's what you need to bring somebody else in, or just to take on the role larger. And so I think a lot of it is just kind of a timing thing, is once you start to realize that things aren't going the way that you want it to, how do you either lend a hand, take a little weight out of their pack and put it on yours, or just, take their pack off completely and let them, run up the hill and do whatever it is they're doing, and figure out a different way to carry the load up there. Because the worst thing that you can do is just kind of to continue to let this broken wheel get worse and worse and worse. I've fought fire with the Idaho City Hotshots for about 3 years, and a couple other years in fire as well. And I always tell a lot of people that some of the biggest leadership and lessons that I've ever learned, and some of the most group dynamics I've ever learned, was either through fighting fires or through wrestling in high school. And a lot of it through fighting fires has kind of transferred directly over to how we kind of lead around here. And two of the ways that I think about the most, one is through leadership, is I always feel like anybody that you're working with is only going to work as hard as their leader, and so if they see a leader being lazy or not carrying their own weight, nobody's going to outwork, their boss for the most part, unless maybe they're trying to jump above, but everybody's going to work as hard as the person who's in charge, and so if the person who's in charge is passionate, if they're working hard, if they believe in what they're doing, I really believe that other people will kind of follow along the same way, and if they don't, you'll have that opposite effect. The other thing that I really learned through fire that I didn't necessarily appreciate at the time was really evaluating what just happened and trying to learn from it. So, after action reviews. And we don't necessarily use that term when we go over things here, but anything from our Christmas Kids Bike giveaway, where we're donating 350 bikes to kids in one day, to a fun event we might be holding like Tour de Fat, where we have hundreds of volunteers coming down. Immediately after those events are over, we're meeting the leaders of the different groups, and we're saying, okay, this is how it went, what went well, what didn't go well, what person shined, and why did this person shine? What do we need to work on when we do this again, next year? How can we learn from our mistakes, and these different types of things? And I think evaluating things quickly is the best way to learn, because a lot of times you don't see everything that's going on, and you see something fail, but you don't necessarily know why, and somebody else from a different perspective, may have seen something that you didn't. And so taking the opportunity to get these different perspectives together again, these different views that people saw throughout the day that maybe you saw and you didn't even pay attention to, and somebody else did. These after-action reviews are so important to always learn, from your successes and learn from your mistakes, and do this in a better and a more efficient way. Organizations usually grow best when they're really looking at things that aren't similar to them and figuring out how they can carry that into their own organization. And so I think that there's a lot of different partnerships and a lot of different collaborations that are out there that are not obvious whatsoever, and that a lot of different groups can learn things from each other that are in nowhere obviously related, but like have some carryover that's really helpful. And so when you kind of work with other organizations, you figure out what the needs are, and I think that you end up becoming you end up putting together a more well-rounded program that works from a variety of different angles and different perspectives just than the one that you thought worked in your head. And so you try to do things on your own, and you just can't really always do them in a really efficient way. And so when you kind of work together, to solve the greater need of what's out there, it can be so much more less work, and it can be so much more effective to really work together.